Gang, this video is called, man, Believe in Yourself, man. Be not discouraged. Now, I do want people to understand that being discouraged, being easily discouraged was something that something that I struggled with a lot. That was like one of my biggest weaknesses more than anything. A lot of people might look at, their level of discipline or motivation or their level of happiness or their attitude or their resources or their social skills. I think the worst thing that you could have, the worst weakness that you could have as a man is to be easily discouraged. Now, of course, that personality defect was between the ages of like 3 and like 15. And then of course, because it's not something that I actually worked on, it's just something that kind of I grew out of. Of course, there are certain things that trigger me to be discouraged, especially when your self-esteem, this is pretty much a video about self-esteem, when your self-esteem and your image and your ego are pointed so much towards certain strengths that you have. I'll give you an example. Everybody tells me how smart and intelligent I am, but when I figure out that I can't do something or something's a little bit challenging to me, that makes me not want to do that ever again. Or it makes me feel like I'm stupid because I can't do this one thing that is so simple for everybody else to get. But I mean, we all have our intellectual weaknesses, man. Everybody's a genius at something, and everybody is remedial or slow when it comes to catching on to certain things. So that's one of my the things that I had to work on, man. I do have to say this. I'll give you another example. When it comes to me rebuilding my life and reinventing not necessarily me as a person, but my situation, I've always been doing that, bro. It might feel scary or it might look like something or it might be looking like I'm taking my time, but no, I could reinvent any situation I have going on in 3 months if I actually put my mind to it. The job that I'm working right now is through a temp agency. But because the same company wants to hire me, we're waiting on my paperwork to get through, but they're still letting me work here and there. And I had a lot going on in between getting this permanent job, but if I wasn't able to encourage myself, if I was still easily discouraged, bro, then I would get nothing done. What's up, Jeremy? What's up, Tamo? But you have to be able to encourage yourself. But the most important thing that I did learn, bro, is really about how you speak to yourself. Make sure you like this video. It's really, really important that you speak to yourself like you want you to win. All of the people saying, oh, I'm dead, or my stupid ass, or my fat ass, even if you're joking, bro, your physical brain doesn't know the difference between you joking and you telling yourself that you're dead and dying, or you died, or you're fat, or you're ugly, or you're stupid, or you're crazy, or lazy. That's the worst thing that you could say about yourself, is that you are lazy. I'm just feeling really lazy right now. Don't say that, my nigga. Make sure you like this video too. I appreciate that. But be not discouraged, bro. This is temporary, bro. This is temporary. A lot of people, oh, I'll never love another man again. Oh, I'll never love another woman, bro. Look, it feels like, in my situation, it feels like that I am never gonna love another woman again. Because if I did, that wouldn't be very wise at all. Because I'm not in the position to do certain things, and I didn't go through what I needed to go through and learn what I needed to learn at this point. So me doing that, it would be the wise decision. But never say never. Speak to yourself. There's an affirmation for damn near everything that you need. There's either an affirmation. That's what changed my life in the past 4 months. I've been waking up and I have a daily affirmations playlist that is exclusively for me. If y'all want me to make you a playlist of affirmations, I definitely can. I have the Game for Men playlist to give you guys a little encouragement and to give you information about masculinity and manhood. Again, I'm not a woman, so I can't really do that, but I can speak to you as a human being, but I'm not gonna go out of my way because I'm not a woman to build you a playlist about female empowerment because I'm not, I mean, my saying is, yes, the greatest empowerment that a female can have is a man, getting you a man, aligning yourself with a powerful man that has unconditional love for you. But I think for me to go out of my way, if we're not going to be in a romantic relationship, would be inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? If we're personal friends, I'll tell you you're smart, you're beautiful, you got this. I've seen you move mountains before, but for me to do that for the masses, for the feminine, I don't think that would be appropriate for me to do. That's not what God put me on earth to do. So the first thing you want to do is you want to study the science of affirmations. You want to study yourself to actually know what types of messages are going to work for you. Now, a lot of people, they can go in with the I ams. If your self-esteem and your confidence is so messed up that you cannot hear somebody say, or you can't even look in the mirror and say, I love you, I love myself, then if you know that your self-esteem is too low for you to tell yourself that you love yourself, that's not a good affirmation for you to be listening to because it's gonna come with a lot of resistance, and your subconscious mind is gonna say, no, you hate yourself, you did this in the past, and you're just gonna keep thinking of all the reasons why you don't love yourself. So you need to understand that there are baby steps to this. If you're trying to work on your self-esteem, there's certain messages that you may or may not be ready to hear. If you have issues with self-love, the first affirmation that you should use is, I love feeling like I love myself. Or, why do I love myself so much? How is it that I love myself on a daily basis? Okay, because that's the back door to the resistance that you might naturally have as someone who is having issues or challenges with self-love. You also want to find out if you're a more independent thinker or you're more of a interdependent thinker, is how I'm going to say it. If you're a more independent thinker, then you want to hear the I am affirmations. And if you're a more groupthink, which is nothing wrong with admitting that, because a lot of people, that is a very culturally acceptable way to think, and it is pretty natural, pretty normal. But if you gravitate more towards group thinking and being an interdependent thinker and relying on the tribe and relying on validation and trends, which again is nothing necessarily wrong with that because there's strengths and weaknesses in both ways of thinking. If you're an interdependent tribal thinker, then your mind would take better with the you are beautiful. You are someone who loves yourself. The affirmations that start with you are instead of I am. So that's very important because you might be an independent thinker and all your affirmations that you've been saying and doing research on and reciting to yourself, you're using the wrong technology for your brain. You might be saying you are a strong individual. You are totally in control of your life when that's not the right program for you. You might want to be saying or listening to the I am affirmations. But like I said, I think the biggest weakness, the biggest challenge that a person could face is being easily discouraged, especially when you grow up with somebody who is, because I wasn't born like that. That's the difference. That's how I felt it. I wasn't born like that because I don't think that I've seen anybody else in my family have that issue to the point that I had it. Because it doesn't just come in small dosages. It affects the rest of your life. When you're easily discouraged with one thing, with how I was, it affected everything else. It made me feel like if I tried one thing and it failed, or if I just didn't feel it in my mind, body, and soul that that's something I was confident in doing, then I wouldn't do it. Or if I tried to do it, I would do it half-assed so I wouldn't feel that bad. Because if I failed, well, I didn't even try anyway, which is very horrible for a small child to think. Luckily, I grew out of that because that's how a lot of losers actually think. That's how a lot of depressed people think. And when I say a loser, I don't mean somebody that's financially in a deficit or unhealthy in specific respects. A loser meaning somebody that does not have the mindset to win, somebody who just wants to cruise through life and they want things to be on easy. They don't have any desire to learn. They don't have any desire to grow. They don't want to help anybody. They're okay with not being an asset. A fucking loser. Somebody who is just, you know, they don't have any real passion or desires. They're just they're just a loser. I mean, no, you could say anybody's a loser, but that's not what I'm saying. All of these people who just want to smoke weed and they're okay with not having a job, they have dirty feet. They just take what they can get. They don't even eat every day, but they smoke every day. That's a loser to me. If you don't have any goals, aspirations, and you think having an ego is the worst thing in the world, like, there are a lot of people like that. There are people that's doing life in prison that I would never fix my mouth to call a loser. And there are some people that have seemingly everything in the world, but to me, they're still fucking losers. So that's why I try not to use such extreme language to describe people's personalities and lifestyles. But if you're a loser, you probably know that you're a loser, unless you're under a certain age. When I was 19, I didn't know I was a loser until I was like 23. I was like, damn, somebody called me a loser? I was a loser. But a loser is somebody who doesn't have any encouragement, bro. Sometimes they just need encouragement, bro. It's more so more so men. There are more men that are losers in the world because we're required to work, because our value comes from what we can provide primarily, whether that be educationally, whether that be encourage wise, whether that be monetary. Just because you have a job, just because you have a lot of money saved up, that does not mean that you're a fucking loser. I know a lot of rich ass losers. I know a lot of celebrity losers that have made some wonderful contributions to the world of hip hop, but they're still losers. They're millionaires. They've been in 50,000 countries. They're losers. The thing about it is, to me, this is way off topic. When you get to a certain level in life, and I don't know what these people do in their personal life, but I can only imagine. When you get to a certain level in life, I think it's traumatizing in a way, because I was reading something that said that the average human brain was only programmed to socialize with 56 people a day in your own personal tribe, 52 to 56. And we were only supposed to be able to receive a certain amount of abundance that we could actually perceive. So rich and famous people, that's really not a natural thing. For a millionaire to have $1 million and they can't count to $1 million, let alone perceive $1 million, that is an unnatural, unhealthy amount of power for or wealth that one person's supposed to have. For you to know that tens of thousands of people know your name, and the most people that you've ever seen in your life was 100 people at one time at a family reunion, that's not healthy for you to be receiving all that energy and knowing that tens of thousands of people know who you are by face, or they know how you sound. They could pick you out of a crowd of people. That messes with people's brains. So when you get to a certain level of fame, that's just like, that's being traumatized, like somebody going to prison if they don't have the right, if they don't handle it in a healthy way. Because the average person, when they go to prison, it freezes their age. So if you go to prison at the age of 18 and you come out at 30, you're still gonna only perceive certain things with the mind of an 18-year-old, because you haven't been socializing healthily and you haven't been going through life's trials and tribulations like everybody else in the world. And a lot of you niggas haven't either. A lot of females haven't either. That's just like when women have, when minors have children when they're 13 and 15 years old, you just did something that the world has not prepared you for. Now, maybe if this was the 1800s and everybody else was doing it, that would be a normal occurrence. It wouldn't affect you like that. But when everybody else is going to high school and getting off of work and going to Jack in the Box and doing their homework, and you're at home changing diapers, and you're the only person that's doing this and you're lonely, and your boyfriend's at work and studying for college and all of that. It's those same three things. So at the end of the day, bro, do what you can to work on your level, your ability and your skills to encourage yourself and to not be discouraged. And if you feel like you failed, or if you need to go back to the drawing board, or you need more experience, or you need more knowledge, you need to work on that, bro. That does come with self-esteem. That does come with self-care. That does come with self-discipline. Whatever you have to do to just turn up uh, those three areas of your life, because if you're a disciplined person, 9 times out of 10, you don't have any issues with encouraging yourself. If you take care of yourself the best that you can, and if you have a high self-esteem, then you probably don't have an issue with being discouraged. You might just have those little weak spots, like I said, with my intelligence, when people or my integrity. When people might even be jokingly calling me a liar or a cheater or accusing me of something that I don't have anything to do with. Yeah, that encourages me to turn the fuck up, because at some point in my life I felt like I was not able to be successful in the square world, so I had to be a criminal at some point, and I had to let go of all of that integrity and having my word be my bond, and the fact that I worked so hard to get out of that mental state and try to thrive in the square world. When I say the square world, not being a criminal anymore, in the world where people work and work legal jobs and get their money legally, or at least in a gray area of the law, that really encouraged me to want to be a criminal again. And the fact that I worked so hard and I had more opportunities to do criminal things, and I knew for a fact that I would be so much more successful right now as a criminal than I would be than I was, and I was pretty okay back then. But we all have our weaknesses. We all have our insecurities. Nobody's perfect. So just in case, you thought you were on your journey of working on your level of encouragement and your level of self-motivation and starting projects and finishing them and not relying on other people to encourage you, which is a journey, which is a very important skill for a man, more than a woman, like 90% more than a woman. I'm not saying as a woman you need to be relying on your man to encouraging you for everything, but if you do, that's not a bad thing. That's what the fuck he's here for. And if he's not available to do that, you can just remember all the times he encouraged you and do that for yourself. It might not be as potent, but you still have that skill set. At the end of the day, bro, you just gotta keep growing, bro. You just gotta keep grinding, bro. You have to find what works for you, whether you have to post pictures, or if you used to stay in a homeless shelter, print out that picture of that homeless shelter and put it on your wall, bro. Or if you have an ex that was toxic that used to put their hands on you, print out a picture of that person. I wouldn't actually do that. But the homeless shelter, or if you worked at McDonald's and now you have a decent job, print out that picture of McDonald's, because if you don't do your thing at this job, at least you could go back working at McDonald's, right? No, you don't want that. You don't want that. When I printed out that picture of that homeless shelter, bro, that turned me up, bro. When I got my first crib, and I kind of felt it was just something in me. I was getting a little comfortable. At first, I didn't have a bed, bro. At first, I was sleeping on a pile of dirty clothes every day. Then I got an air mattress, and then I got my third check, and I was able to save up for a bed. But when I got that bed, bro, and I was able to sleep comfortably at night, something changed in me, man. Something changed in me, and I began to get a little lazy. And then what I did was, I used to go to the homeless shelter because they would have dinner every night. And I would go there and eat. And I was like, no, this is not doing anything for me, bro. And somebody was like, oh, you back over here? I'm like, no, I'm not. And something violent happened, not to me, in the environment. Because, of course, that homeless shelter was the most, in the most violent neighborhood in all of Joliet, Illinois. But I was thinking like, firstly, this food is terrible for me. I can afford my own food. Secondly, I don't want to go to a homeless shelter where I stayed at because niggas might be jealous and try to do something to me. So I don't physically have to put myself in danger to be reminded of why I need to grind and why I need to not call off work and why I need to get enough sleep and stay sober. I could just print a picture out of the homeless shelter. I could just put the soap and all the memorabilia that I had at that homeless shelter, places where I could see it to remind me like, bro, look, you're not rich. You're doing better than what you were doing a month and a half ago. But if you make the wrong move, nigga, that homeless shelter is gonna be open for you, and it might not be. You might have to sleep you on the street. So that's what encouraged me, bro. So you can't just encourage yourself with positive words. You have to encourage yourself with negative things too, bro. You need positive and negative so you can get that electromagnetism, bro. But it is what it is. Why you think they have positive part of the battery, negative part of the battery? You need positivity and negativity so you can get that power. It is what it is. It's not what it's not. It's Aaron Moses. I'm the bang. You the bang. We the bang together, man. Stay encouraged, man. Encourage yourself. Do not be discouraged. You're going to make it. Trust me. Peace. Gang.